Every time. All right. It's always the short version. I want to welcome everybody to Vibe Time with Jerry, and we are going to be having Paranormal Roundtable Talk. But before we do that with John Savage and David Flowers, I have a couple of announcements to make because there are some events going on at the cabin on 360 that people need to be aware of um, in case you haven't gotten tickets yet. All right. May 14th. Cabin on 360 is going to be having it's a public investigation, but it's in memory of Glenn Morgan. Okay, um, tickets are going to be $40 for that. Doors open up at 6 o'clock, so that's May 14th. If you haven't got your tickets for that yet, that particular event, then you want to go to the Cabin on 360's Facebook page to the link where the events are at, and you can either purchase the tickets there or you can message them and find out where you can actually get the tickets. So that's the first announcement. Second public investigation is going to be May 21st. That is at the Cabin on 360 also. There's going to be a couple of things going on with that particular event. There's going to be a public paranormal investigation, but there's also going to be a seance that's going to be held by Holly Mullins and Dallas Adams. So those tickets are $50. Okay. That investigation starts at 6 o'clock. The seances are really good because I've been in one of those seances and I really enjoyed it. It's really energetic. So Holly Mullins will be on next week when Ryan, myself, and her talk spirit and let me put John into the stream. Sorry, when we talk spirit and he threw me off when he came in. When we talk spiritual stuff, that'll be next week. And then there are still tickets, ladies. This is for ladies only. There are still tickets available for the Boo Bitch event, Boo Bitch Paranormal event. That is an overnighter at the cabin. Okay, those tickets are $60. It's April 30th to May 1st. So this is an overnighter at the cabin on 360. All right. All the money and the proceeds that we have for this particular event are going to go to the shelter, Safe Harbor Shelter in Richmond, to support domestic violence. So all that money, anything we make off of that, is going to go to that particular shelter. We're going to donate everything there. We have a guest speaker coming at 6 o'clock. We have a potluck dinner that we're going to be doing. It's females only. The only male allowed is going to be Dennis. I got my fingernail polish and lipstick. I got a wig too. I'm going to be putting him in that. And let's see, we're going to be raffling off a lot of baskets. I know I have a Reiki basket that I'm going to be raffling off. I think Vanessa Hogle was going to put a basket together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't got your tickets for that, go ahead and get that. And of course, David Flowers, he always does his tours at the Manor House. Those are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 o'clock. Tickets are $15. And I think actually it's really funny. I got somebody messaging me right now about tickets to the Manor House. Oh, Miss Valencia will be there tomorrow night. So there's already been tickets purchased for that. And if you haven't been on that tour yet, he explains the history of the Manor House. And then as you go through the Manor House, he introduces different pieces of equipment. And then you get to go on your own private investigation. So you have to call the activities desk. And he's going to kill me because I could never freaking remember the number. 757-212-2200. Do I got it right? Or 2220? 2220, right? I'm fired. Told you. Just that quick. All right, hold on. I mess it up every time. 757-1200. There, I got it right. Okay, now I'm going to take everybody off the mute so that we can get started on the paranormal one here. One. Okay, hold on. 8851. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Shoo. Okay. Now I got okay. Can you hear me, John?
Yep.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear you, John.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
Kimberly's like, now
Hey,
let's
Jerry,
see.
I'm going to
Mr.
tattoo
Leo's
the phone
number.
number to your arm.
I know, right? Can go right there. There. John Savage. I know
Huh?
damn good and well that you got all your computer stuff down pegged, buddy.
Yeah.
He's not. Can you hear us, Kimberly? Is there any echo or lag or anything? Kimberly's she's my sound tech person. She'll tell me if there's anything wrong on there. I just can't hear John Savage. Hello. No. You can't come on the show without me not being able to hear you. You're not muted. So you should be fine. Is it the It's on your side? You're fired. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
5 minutes.
I'm almost positive you'll figure that out.
Because he's a smart one of the three of us.
I know, right? The hell.
What?
Shall we? Hi, Savannah. We're waiting. Yeah, you can hear. All right, so he can, like Kimberly can hear me, and he's trying to fix it. So, do you want us to start the Paranormal Roundtable and then just wait for you? All right, we're going to go ahead and start discussion. So, what shall we talk about first? He's probably going to go out and come back in.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about first?
I mean, anybody got any questions, comments?
Yeah.
If you're going to call in, you can do that, but I need you to you got to press 1 so that I'll know that you have a question or a comment, because if you don't do that, I'm not going to know. And we got a lot of calls in the studio, but I just got to make sure. Savannah, yay! 2 of my Libra peeps. I would like to talk about orbs again.
You want to talk about orbs?
I would like to touch on that subject because so many people post. All right, let me put him back in. So many people post about.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Ah.
So many people post about those.
I don't think we're ever going to get rid of the quote unquote orbs.
I'm going to let John Savage keep working on this stuff while we're talking, because, yeah. He'll come in and he can hear me, but we can't hear him.
Yeah,
Last
I think
time,
as long as there's.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear the dog.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yes, orbs. Let's talk about orbs.
Yeah, that
orbs or dust.
As long as there's people out there, there's going to be people think that every little dust bunny, water droplet, spider web is grandma.
Or grandpa?
Hi, John Stevens.
Hey, John.
Can you hear me now?
It's Paranormal Roundtable, so you know that if you have any questions or anything, we can just call into the studio and we unmute, and then we're having a discussion. That's That's actually David Flowers. John Savage, we can't hear yet. John Savage
Can't hear
started
me
a
yet?
TikTok channel. I wonder if you had to do what I had to do. I had to go into my computer settings, and then I had to manually go in there and reset my whole mic. I had to manually go into my computer and set up my entire mic over again in order for it to hear me, and it sucked. Because Gene Wells one night tried to help me with my computer, and then finally I went in there and manually set the mic back up, and then I haven't had any problems since. So now I know when my mic goes out, I got to manually set it up. I know he'll figure it out. He'll stay up for hours until he does, because he's just that type of person. If I ever break
Sav
down on
says
the
she
side
can
of the
hear
road, I
John
know what
Savage.
in my car.
So someone can hear me?
Do what?
Sav Spook says she can hear John Savage.
No, she's hearing you. Because John has no sound.
That's what my wife said.
Say hello.
Hello.
Can't hear him. Snowball. Yeah, I have that. How do y'all hear
John
Savage?
Stevens can hear John Savage.
Well, we can't
Can you hear me?
I wonder why. Hold on.
Hey, John Savage, did you call into the phone line, or are you just on StreamYard?
You know, I might actually be on the phone.
Yeah, see, I can't hear him on the computer either.
Oh,
Yeah, okay. All right, so
okay. John Stevens has a big echo on me.
okay.
Maybe I need to turn my microphone down.
I don't know. I have John Savage off of mute.
How about
He said John Savage is coming in good, but we can't hear him at all. And I can't hear you, John, on the blog talk, and you're not even on mute. Oh, there you go. Okay, now I gotcha. With an echo.
Yeah, hold on. Let me turn off the volume on my laptop.
Okay.
How's that?
That's perfect. Now, can you hear us?
Yes.
David?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
Oh man.
All right. Well, my speaker on my computer is cut completely off. The volume on my cell phone is cut down. All I have is my actual landline, because I have to use that to call into the StreamYard. So they're kind of calling in, and we're listening off of my phone, my house phone, to do the Now there's an echo on each one of you. And see, I don't even hear the echo at all.
We might have to turn our mics down on the computer.
I did. Well, I cut my. You mean turn the mics down on the actual?
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Not
but
on the
they're saying
computer,
that
just
we're
through the blog
echoing.
talk.
Oh, okay.
John, speak. Is there an echo still?
No, I'm not hearing it.
Okay, John Stevens said I'm good so far. All right, so David has an echo.
Of course I do.
I cut my speaker completely off, and that was all I did.
Yeah, my speaker's turned off too.
Okay.
Maybe my mic up too high? Is my mic up too loud?
It shouldn't be. Yeah. Nobody should be echoing now. Let me see. I got all these messages.
What about now?
What about now?
John Stevens, am I still
Am I
echoing?
still echoing?
Hey, David, somebody wanted to purchase tickets to the Manor House, and they said that the activities desk told them to show up at 8:50 and get the tickets there. Is that what they're supposed to do?
They can do
They
that.
can do that.
Okay, that's what they're doing. She wanted to purchase them ahead of time. They wouldn't let her.
They got kids working down there doing what they're doing.
Doing what they're doing.
I'm gonna, so you'll have the message. That way you'll know.
Yeah.
Before I forget to tell you, because that message will go through and I'll forget to look at it as usual. There's
I have
echo.
no idea how to deal with the echoes. I turned my microphone off.
Yeah, I don't know how to deal with them either because I've cut my cell phone down. My computer mic is cut off. All I'm using is a landline at this point. Nothing else.
Weird.
Oh, and you muted yourself. I don't either. We'll have to figure this out somehow. That way when we do this. All right, according to John Stevens, the sound is, for me, is good right now, so I don't know. I muted my mic too for StreamYard. But I wonder if I do that as record everything. Do I still sound okay?
I'm gonna have. Yeah, everyone sounds good.
Yeah, I don't hear an echo with David Flowers either. I mean, I'm not hearing that. I guess when it's on the Facebook Live, it's different.
Yeah.
Unless,
So we were talking about food, correct?
yeah, we were re-talking about orbs.
Yeah. An orb does not give proof that there's life after death. It gives proof that there's stuff in the air, but not life after death.
Well, what do you do with these people that have all these pictures with these big old orbs in them all around the house? I mean, what is that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you have to educate people, and that's the issue in this field. No one is being educated, no one's taking time out to study the effects of photography and flash photography in an environment. These pictures that everyone's getting, what's happening is, especially when you're using a flash, the flash is a very hot white light to begin with. It's very bright. And the reason why people see these huge orbs is not because it's something that's big. It's because these little dust particles are literally at the focal point of the aperture of the lens, which is going to be bigger to begin with. I mean, it's like when you go fishing, you take the fish and you hold it up to the lens to make the fish look bigger. Now, with the orbs, the color of the orbs, what's happening is the light from the flash is hitting the particles in the air, dust, pollen, whatever, moisture, and it's being reflected back through the camera lens.
Gotcha.
That's the issue that people are having with photography orbs and some video orbs. Now, I've seen some of the videos out there. I mean, David, I think you showed me one, and that's an orb in motion. But when you see a video and there's like hundreds of them flying all over the place, that's not an orb. That's not paranormal. That is either an AC unit turning on, heating unit, a fan. Something is disturbing the dust in the environment, and it's moving around in front of the camera. And IR cameras are really good at picking up these dust particles.
So, would you agree then with when David talks about on his tours that they emit their own light?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, because there's some people out there that don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen orbs with my own eyes that's paranormal related that gives off its own aura, its own color, its own white light. So I've seen that happen. It's just a lot of this, like you said, stuff in the photography field. It's not paranormal. That can be easily explained.
So, what are your thoughts on, or what are y'all's thoughts on? And I think we touched on this last time, because people come up to me all the time and want to know the differences of the different colors of orbs. If it's a pink orb,
Nope,
yellow orb,
nope,
white
nope,
orb.
nope. That is the light being reflected back to the camera. Especially if it's moisture. I mean, look at how rainbows form. You have white light that hits a water particle and it splits it up into the visual spectrum. That's the same thing with the camera flash. Camera flash is a pure white light. When it hits a water particle or a dust particle, it's going to reflect white light into a prism.
Gotcha. David, you got a really good orb at the manor house. You got that video.
Yeah, I got extremely lucky with that.
Mm-hmm.
That in all the years I've been doing this, that's the only one I've ever gotten on video or picture or anything. That's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've seen one other one with my own eyes. So orbs are extremely rare.
And they are. And when you capture an orb on video, especially on video, you got to take the precautions. You've got to have your data available and try to recreate it, because there's going to be naysayers out there saying, "Oh, that's just a dust particle," and what have you. But that's where education again comes into play, and also reputation of the investigator comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm unable to let people use the camera that caused that or that captured that orb. That was back in 2014, and it no longer exists. I've got the raw footage, the video, but the actual DVR system is no more. Who knew they had a lifespan?
Wow.
Yeah, those hard drives don't last that long when it's continually being used. Yeah, but it was a night owl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I have one of those laying around.
Does that mean it's still is it still usable or no? Then
No, it won't even turn on anymore.
oh,
I have some of the cameras. I think still work, but the actual hard drive itself, no.
David wants, or excuse me, John Stevens wanted to know if we believe that people can learn to be more sensitive to spirits at a location. The more they ghost hunt, I believe that issue of paranormal evidence and more sensitive to locations than the more he ghost hunts. What is your thoughts on that?
I think that's absolutely true. Like I said, you and I have talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't claim to be a sensitive, a psychic, or anything like that, but I have gotten to the point where every so often I can tell if there's something there. I can't tell if it's good or evil, but I can tell if there is something there.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the more you are in this field, the more you're going to touch the other side. I don't know if it's, you're gaining the energy or your body becoming in tune with the other side. But I do feel the more you do this, you're going to, I don't want to say develop, but you're going to be in tune a little bit more of the environment.
Mm-hmm. Dogs want to be on the show.
Anybody want a dog?
Yeah, I know that Frank Lazaro, he's from New Jersey Rope. He used to tell me you need to go out there and, continue to investigate to keep your skills sharp. That's what he would tell me. He was like, don't not do any of that because you need to keep your skills sharpened.
I believe that using your intuition is a key tool for the paranormal to do a paranormal investigation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. John Stevens said you get more in tune with your senses, like nothing like for instance the hair raising off of your arms, which is true.
Right.
So yeah.
Now let me ask everyone this question, and I've been noticing this recently, especially since I've been on TikTok. God, I want to throw things at people on TikTok. Anyway, I've been noticing everyone using these haunted dolls. They'll bring dolls to a location. Now, I'm not a fan of taking something to an investigation, like let's say a haunted Raggedy Ann doll, and ask the spirit to possess it, and then taking it home with me. I think that's one stupid, as my dog just said. I just don't buy that yet. I'm not in that camp of bringing a doll as a trigger object to make it haunted.
I don't do that, but I will use a doll as a trigger doll because I just went out and bought a 1700s replica doll yesterday that I was going to take to the manor house to put in Eliza's room to see if we can get anything, get her to respond to the doll. But other than that, not with what you're talking about. I'm just using that as he would use his cappy hat, to see if he could get a reaction. Yeah.
But you see, I'm seeing a lot of people, doing this, and it's like, one, what's the purpose? And two, if you're going to do something like that and invite a spirit to inhabit a doll or an object, you're asking for problems.
Yeah.
In the long run. I mean, and I'm just looking at it from a mediumship point of view. From a scientific view, there's really no scientific basis for an object to be haunted. You can't measure the doll being haunted. I mean, you can put up an EMF meter, but still, you got to do data logging on that for a time period to determine if something's really there. But everyone I'm seeing, they're taking this stuff, these dolls, and trying to make it haunted.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, John. You don't get the trigger object to get them to possess it. Yeah, you use the trigger object to get a response.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We got some really good responses when
That's
I
what
put
we did
those.
at the manor house with
Yeah.
the cappy hat and
The jacks. Yeah.
the jacks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Marjorie has enough following or coming to her. Definitely will not use a doll. Yeah, she's got enough stuff coming to her. She don't need a doll. That is true. That's very true.
Yeah. So, and what's sad is everyone who's on TikTok is looking at this and thinking, hey, this is part of an investigation. And
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
And then, and again, social media is great to get the word out to teach, but it's also horrible because people pick up bad habits and say, hey, this is what we're going to do for an investigation because I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of people do mimic TikTok. Yeah. You're right about that. Yeah, Kimberly said incredible imaginations too.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it's like what Anita said one time. You could take a group of people to a McDonald's, tell a horror story about it, like it was someone got killed and stuff. And let's say you have a group of 20, and out of 20, 18 are going to believe that the place is haunted.
Dover Paratech, whose volume is low? Because I don't know whose volume would be low on that. Hi, DC Denny. How are you, DC? What is your thoughts on trying to think of topics that people really talk about, provoking spirit or taunting them? Because you get a lot of that with people.
One, I mean, that's an ethical issue right there. It's picking a fight. I mean, being disrespectful, regardless of what your beliefs about the afterlife, about spirits and ghosts. Going to a haunted location and saying things like, come and get me or come and attack me. One, you're dealing with something that you can't defend yourself.
Right.
It's not like you're going to into a bar fight where you can swing back. You have no defense. Second of all, you're being totally disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
You could actually make the situation worse for a client by picking a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. 100% agreement there. The way I tell everybody,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm a big man and I can fight a lot of things. You can't fight that.
Yeah.
Because they don't fight fair, they fight to win.
But again, that's being fueled by TV shows like Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
By that clown Zach. He goes to a place and say, "Oh, come and get me," and what have you. And it's like people are watching that and thinking, "Hey, if I go to a haunted location, I need to be confrontational. I need to pick a fight with a ghost." No.
Right. I think you're asking for that, and I think that when you do stuff like that, that they could, attach themselves to you and follow your ass home.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hate to say this, but for those people who are mimicking, the TV shows, the way they're doing stuff, if they get injured or something follows them, well, you know what? I hate to say it, but you caused that on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lesson learned.
Right. Yeah, if they can get rid of the attachment, if they happen to have something to attach to them, that's one of those ugly parasite type thingies.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you don't really know. I think Steve White posted an article about that this morning. I haven't finished reading it, but it was really interesting because it broke down everything that you put in your book, because David Flowers wrote the book, Welcome to the World of Paranormal Investigations. It's a really good book. It's a really good book. But it broke down intelligent spirit. It broke down, like shadow figures. It just broke down everything. But it had one that I didn't pay attention too much to. And I think they called it like a parasite. Have you heard of that, John Savage? I mean,
yeah, I've heard terms like that. A parasite. Sometimes I've heard people used to call it a leech. I've never encountered anything like that.
right.
Who knows?
Yeah, devil thumbs a ride. Yep. I'm not saying what else you said on there, Kimberly. But it was a very interesting article about that. And it's like I said, if you just get this, you'll be okay. If you don't get this, you'll be screwed. I'm just telling you people right now.
If you want to do it right, read that book.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to do it right, read the book. Stop watching TikTok. Stop watching all the ghost shows. Just purchase the damn book. I'm looking forward to your book coming out, John Savage, on Fort Monroe. When is that? When are you going to put that out?
Right now, I'm still writing it. It's a work in progress because I keep keep finding new information and new locations to check out. So once I start one chapter, then I'm actually working on 4 different chapters, and I find more information about another location. Then I stop and go mess with that, and I have to go back. I've got like 37 different spots here at the fort that I think has some paranormal value to it.
Nice.
But the problem is documenting. I mean, anyone can go to a place and write a story about a haunted house or the lady in white or a ghostly apparition that's seen on the ramparts. What I'm doing is combining that information and adding the scientific value to it. So someone can say, hey, you know what? Here's the data that supports why this story is a ghost story, not a folklore story.
Gotcha.
So it's going to take some time, especially with the data.
Oh, but that's going to be interesting. That's an interesting combination because a lot of people wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? They just, that's cool.
I mean, and also one of the things that we're doing is we are combining the historical information from the archives here at Fort Monroe to the investigation, to the ghost stories themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, we have a story here of a lady in white that's been seen on Ghost Alley, which is Matthew Street. And
Hi, John
there's 2
Sullivan.
different stories to it. And with the research I've been doing on who this lady is and how she was killed, there's no documentation at all that a woman was shot by her husband who was in the military. Because if that was the case, there would be some documentations in the archives or even in the fire log or the police log, the Provost Marshal's office log here at the fort, and there's nothing.
Well, that's interesting.
So there's a lot of work done. Yeah, there's a lot of work.
No, I'm sure it is. Somebody had a question. Let me go in here. All right, so you know and I'm changing the whole subject. You know how we talk about Bigfoot, right? Now, what do you believe in other creatures other than Bigfoot, like Mothman? I knew you was gonna put your head down on that one. There's your answer.
I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm going to say, from a scientific point of view, it doesn't exist.
Mothman don't exist? Don't tell me that. You just broke my heart in 2.
I mean, I don't think creature like the Mothman in this day and age can exist. I mean, back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, when we didn't have technology, and you have the stories that kids will make up just because they're kids. I can see that happening, but in this day and age, I mean, he would have to have some sort of food source to begin with. With food, there has to be some, I hate to say this, poop laying around. He's got to have a nesting place or a place where he would hang out. All that should have been found by now.
That's true.
And plus, if he's flying around, come on. He would have been seen by now.
Do you think that there's other creatures? I mean, do y'all believe in other creatures? Like, I mean, Bigfoot is really big. I like watching the documentation on Bigfoot, but do you think that there's other stuff out there?
Oh, yeah.
David?
About Loch Ness. What I think
Mermaids?
Is I think creatures do exist in the ocean that we have not discovered. But I think Loch Ness itself has been investigated, mapped, and everything else from one point to the other. And if they haven't found it by now, I don't think it's there. You know, the whole idea of, it's traveling from the lock itself out to sea. Well, if that's the case, that's a one big, huge tunnel that's going from freshwater to saltwater. And that would have been found somewhere. Again, it comes back to optical illusions. You know, if you're looking at something in the water, water's going to reflect light. It's going to bend the light. And if you're looking at it from a distance, you know, your mind is going to play tricks on you. It's going to try and put an image together to make sense. I mean, we have that problem in ghost hunts with myths and things like that. The mind's trying to make an image of something that's not really there.
Gotcha.
Now, I do believe there's stuff in the ocean that we have not discovered because we haven't really explored the ocean. But things like Loch Ness or the one up in New York, Lake Champlain, there's supposed to be another one up there. I mean, you would think, again, in this day and age, with everyone holding a cell phone and everything else, there would be loads of documentations of it. I think it's just people just having fun and just making things up for views on TikTok.
Hi, Dawn. So, okay. So what about the video footage then that you see on the Loch Ness, like the one I watched yesterday, paranormal caught on camera, even though it wasn't paranormal, it's a Loch Ness. I mean, don't tell me that's not real too.
Well, again, you know, let's look at the photography. A photograph is just a two-dimensional image. You can't really tell, you know, how far away an object is and how long that object is. There's nothing to measure distance to a point. So in some of the old photographs of the Loch Ness Monster from the 70s and what have you, the picture's very grainy to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell if the item is laying on the water or if it's coming up from the water. I mean, it could be a log with, debris around it. So you just don't know.
Okay.
First, I believe Loch Ness is a giant fish. Maybe it's sturgeon or some giant fish.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, back in Minnesota, I used to love to fish in Minnesota. You go up to the Boundary Waters and you can get yourself a sturgeon or a pike. No, I've seen them, 10 feet long, and they're huge. They're over hundreds and hundreds of years. I think one in Minnesota was like 115 years old that they measured and kind of guesstimated the age. That can happen. Doesn't mean it's a dinosaur.
You just broke my heart on the Loch Ness Monster.
I'm sorry.
And Mothman. All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Sturgeon would be more explainable. That's what Marjorie said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the fishes in the oceans. I mean, you've got tuna that's what, 200-300 pounds that's being caught? Those things are huge.
Right.
You got them up to 1,000 pounds that I've seen.
Yeah. And to someone who's not a fisherman and who's just walking, along the shore, if you saw something like that kind of peeking through breaking the surface of the water, you would think it's something, cryptid.
Right. That's true. All right. So then what is your thought on UFOs? I believe they exist.
I'll let you go on this.
Personally, I believe they are out there. I don't think they helped build the pyramids, but I believe they're out there.
I agree. To say that we're the only carbon-based life forms in this galaxy is ridiculous. Life can be, carbon-based, silicon-based. I believe there's life out there. I remember as a kid living in 29 Palms, California, which is a United States Marine Corps base. I remember seeing what I thought were two bright lights, kind of like an egg shape with a black line in the middle, flying around the base.
Yeah.
Was that a UFO? It could have been. But if I was an alien from another galaxy and I was flying past this planet, I'd just lock the doors and just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to run. Steve White said his psychic abilities told him that he was missing the show. Hi, Steve White. He's the one who always puts the interesting posts out. Very nice, very good readable articles.
But in saying what you were just talking about a second ago about the pyramids, it comes down to where they get the knowledge.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that the pyramids down in Gaza match up to the Orion star cluster, the way it's set up. There's places in South America that has stone cut that's just perfect. They mesh together with no with no marks on it from axes, from stone, or anything like that. So that makes me wonder: was there an alien race? I don't know what people call them now, that came down and influenced our evolution. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I never looked at it from that side like that. Of course, Orion's belt is my favorite.
Obviously, they don't watch Star Trek. So that means they destroyed the prime directive of non-interference.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw that in.
Fravor and he's catching the infamous.
Thanks.
Oh, I was reading John Stevens' comment. CMD Fravor and his catching the infamous TikTok video. Very credible person. UFOs definitely exist. Listen to Bob Laser, and his story is simply amazing.
And you see, and I think with UFOs, I think they're real. I think there is there's intelligent life out there. The problem is it comes back down to documenting. Granted, I think the government, and here we go, conspiracy theories, put on the tinfoil hats. I think the government knows.
Gotta find my tinfoil hat. I'll be wearing it next time. I will wear one.
Some of the stuff that we have now in our lives, that information had to come somewhere. I think it's technology that was found. But maybe we are smart enough to create this technology, to create a microprocessor. Who knows?
And the way I look at it, I think as far as all these huge things getting built thousands of years ago, each generation has a group of geniuses that can, say, if we do this, this will work. How they know that, who knows? But
Yeah.
I think that's how all the different places were built. The pyramids and all that other stuff. Stonehenge. That and a whole lot of slaves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's also good to have mysteries that we cannot solve.
That's true too. Somewhere you'll never get the answer to.
Not until we cross over.
Yeah. Speaking of crossing over, what are y'all's thoughts on on dimensions? We were talking about this the other day, David, when we were in the roundtable room. We were talking about the different dimensions, and I've always wondered about that. Like, does one time period know what the other time period is doing because they're in different dimensions?
I don't think think that they do. I think you can have somebody from the 1700s, somebody from the 1800s, and somebody from the 1900s, all three in the same space, and they don't know each other's there.
You mean like from a paranormal, like a haunting point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know, I think more times than not that I don't think they're aware. I mean, you could have a house that, you know, let's take the manor, for example. You know, you have an entity that's familiar with the 1700s, you know, 1776, whatever, and they may not be aware of another entity from like 1833. I'm just picking numbers out because the energies might be different, or they're on a different level of existence. They occupy the same space, physical space, yeah, but dimensional-wise, they're on a different plane.
Exactly. And depending on the energy that's out there, you might not be able to talk to all three of them or two of them, however many's in there, at the same time. One night you might be talking to one, another night you're talking to another. It's just totally different energy.
I mean, I've gotten EVPs where I've asked questions, you know, are you aware of the other spirit? And sometimes, you know, I'll get like a yes, but most of the time I'll either won't get a response or I hear a no.
Yep. I've gotten that at the manor house.
So have you've tested that theory at the manor house already?
Yes, I have. Okay. I've just like what John was saying. I've gotten yes, I've gotten no, and I've gotten no response.
Gotcha. Do you think that there's other dimensions at Fort Monroe too?
Oh, I mean, this place has been occupied, I mean, before the settlers came here by the Indians. I mean, John Smith, when he came up Jamestown, stopped here at Comfort Point, or Point Comfort as they call it. I mean, there's been like 3 different forts here before Fort Monroe.
Okay. I got a couple.
And I think this is where some of the ghost stories are coming into play, like the Lady in White.
Mm-hmm.
She's not tied into this fort, which was started in 1816. So I'm wondering if she is here from an earlier fort, either Fort George or the fort before that.
Oh, that's interesting. I do got a couple questions from people because I got messages coming in that are not under the comments. If intelligent spirits can communicate with us, why couldn't they communicate with other dimensions?
Okay, well, let's do it this way. All 3 of us are communicating with each other, correct? On this level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can't communicate with a spirit on a different level, can we? Very true.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my answer. I mean, I don't have the science of why. I don't understand it.
Right.
But that's how it is. I mean, look at the language barrier, too. If I go to, let's say, what country have I not been? Let's say Brazil. Okay? I can't speak Brazilian.
Right.
And I wouldn't know how to communicate.
That's true.
Without the proper tools.
That's true. Steve White's question is, when it comes to any type of evidence, which one has been more credible? Bigfoot sightings or reported UFO sightings, or both?
UFOs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hands down, UFOs.
There's your answer. Yep, UFOs. Here's another question. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You know, I do believe that there is Bigfoot, and I believe I've seen one. But the simple question is, other than footprints, how come there's been 0 physical evidence found?
Yeah. I'm a hunter. No, I used to hunt deer back in Minnesota. We would look for tracks. We would look for where they would sleep during the day. When we hunt bear, we would look for carcasses and droppings and things of that nature that would tell us there's a predator nearby. With Bigfoot, you don't see that. You don't see a nesting area where they would be sleeping. You don't see, excuse me, animal remains. Assuming they eat they're carnivores. You just don't see anything. And you would think with a Bigfoot, they would have some sort of intelligence to make tools and to build. I don't see it. Yeah, nothing's been documented.
But that is
At
interesting,
least
though.
from a science.
Yep. Steve White said he personally thinks that we have many dimensions and many people were trapped in those time periods. We'd have to go back to the start of time.
I mean, again, with that question you just asked about why can't we talk to why can't spirits talk to other level spirits in different dimensions? Well, again, all three of us are talking now, but we cannot communicate with an entity in the future from us on a different level.
Right.
I don't think it can be done yet. Now with EVPs, that's a whole different thing.
Gotcha. That's true. Let's talk about EVPs.
I'll put my food down.
There's so many of them out there. You still have to listen to mine.
I think, and I think they would agree with me on this. When it comes to EVP, strict protocol should be in place at all times. Yeah. When I do EVPs, I have a master mic running at all times. From the moment I start the investigation to the end, that's where I base my timestamp from and all other sound. And then I have my recorders that I use also. You have to have documentation constantly. That's why, for me, I would assign one or two members of my group to document almost every sound they hear at the microphone while it's being recorded. I also, when I do EVPs, I tell everyone, do not whisper.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. I mean, and I've done it myself. I mean, I'll be on investigations and I'll go, hey, can you come here for a second? It's in a real low voice while recording and went, well, I just ruined that one. Even if I got an awesome EVP, I have to throw it out because I whispered.
Right. That makes sense.
Documentation. And when people are using their audio and they're downloading it on the computer and they're adjusting it, I tell everyone, have two files. Keep the original file of the audio as is. Don't change it. Don't modify it. Keep it as your raw. So you can go back to it and show other people, hey, here's the original audio and here's the enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And document how you're using it.
Yeah.
Document, which microphone you're changing, what settings are you changing, the amplitude. If you're using an equalizer on it, which settings on the EQ are you changing to get a better result? To hear it better, document.
Yeah.
And document.
And document. Steve White's question was, remember the show Planet of the Apes? With that being said, what is the possibility of extraterrestrials and Bigfoots being one of the same? What are your thoughts on that?
This your filthy paws off of me, you dirty animal.
Oh my gosh.
You can't tell. You can't tell I'm a sci-fi fan. Again, okay. So are we going to assume that Bigfoot is here based on the Planet of the Apes? Okay, travel through time. Well, not really travel through time, but travel a long distance, crash landing on Earth, and he's hiding so he wouldn't be captured. Okay, I can run with that idea, but again, there would be evidence of his existence in a sense of gathering food, shelter. Shelter would be a first thing for survival. You would think that they would fashion clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You think they would stay in groups because safety in numbers.
Right.
And if, again, like Planet of the Apes, when they got the other astronaut and they did brain surgery on him so they couldn't speak, we would have something like that in a museum somewhere. Somebody would have captured a Bigfoot by now.
Right.
And with all of us who carry guns, come on. I'm pretty sure someone's not going to say, hey, look, Bigfoot, let's take a picture of him. No, let's shoot him.
Well, how do you know they're not deep in the mountains, just like these creatures of the ocean are? They're like thousands of depths down. I mean, they could live way deep in the mountains of places that people can't get to.
Yeah, I mean, there's new species being found every day in remote places of the planet. But something that big, unless we are really stupid and we're missing it, or we're just too lazy to actually investigate, I just can't see it right now. I don't see the actual logical evidence. And I'm not saying, hey, look, I found a video on TikTok of Bigfoot. That's not evidence.
But one person said they think they live underground or in tunnels.
Do they also live with the Greys? And for those who enjoys UFOs, the Greys are the alien races that's supposed to live in tunnels, especially in the mountains of Colorado and the Appalachians. And they're like a subhuman. I think they said they're gray with the big black eyes and also reptilian. Also.
No. John Stevens said, can we just believe that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature?
Hey, I'll believe anything. Up to a point.
What about the choices? Let's see.
If we're going to believe...
What are the chances of Bigfoot's being from another dimension that we are not aware of? We have to test that theory.
Well, then my question is, again, let's go with the science. We don't have anything out there that would test a portal to a dimension. We wouldn't even know what we would be looking for. Is it something electromagnetic? Is it something that's quantum physics based? I don't know. Could it? Could they come from a different dimension? Again, could be, but you would think they would come prepared and not walking around looking like they haven't shaved for 20 years.
True.
I mean, I heard one person said, Bigfoot could be like Chewbacca getting stuck here. Maybe it's their race or biological where, they're just covered in fur. Okay, I can run with that. But again, I just, I don't see the evidence of that actually being real. Again, there's nothing saying that, I don't see anything of them hunting. I don't see tools being made. We don't find remains in the woods. I know people say, I've got hair strands and I hear noises at night. Sounds like someone howling. That's not proof.
Let's see.
Everybody that I've heard that said they've gotten hair strands, the hair is always, and they've had it tested, it's always proven to be a known animal or human hair. Yeah.
I didn't know people got hair strands from Bigfoot. Steve White said, okay, hang on then. How many Bigfoot researchers do you know have went out with EMF detectors? Guess we need to go out in the woods and see. When are we going to do that? Bipedal ape. I knew she was going to come up with something. Kimberly. Never fails. Might be. Never know.
Now, just remember, all this that I'm saying, this is all my humble opinion.
I'm glad you said that, because one thing that really pisses me off is people talking about all this stuff as if it's fact.
Yeah.
And none of this is fact. This paranormal stuff that we do, it's not fact. It's all opinion. And that is true. You get people talking, well, this is how it is, it's no other way.
Right.
Can you prove that?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, if someone came up to me and say, right, you've been doing this for 32 years, what proof do you have? Well, I can show them the documentation that I have, but it's up to the person who's reviewing it to make their own decision.
Right.
Because in this field, everything is conjecture. I mean, we're guessing. We're a pseudoscience. Like, it's not like I can go up to the person and go, here's the proof. There you go, Dr. Pepper. Here's the proof that this is a spiritual idol. Here's proof that life exists, outside of our realm. I don't think if we have technology to get to that point yet, and I don't think we ever will. Yeah, because
at least not in our lifetime.
No, I mean, everything that's out there in the market for paranormal research is designed by, people like you and me, trial and error, but there's nothing out there that's designed for the paranormal in a sense of a scientific device. We can guess, but nothing concrete. Now, the tools that are out there, and this is my biggest pet peeve with the paranormal, is everyone loves things that make lights and sounds, and that's it. Okay, that's great, but where's the scientific value of it?
True.
I mean, people use case computers, and I'm one of them. I'll use it, and something goes off. Okay, a light changes. What value, numerical value, are we looking at? We don't know. All we see is a light lighting up. That's why data logging is so important in this field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kimberly said she has way too many theories to hardline anything. Let's see, Steve White, this is for everybody and your personal opinions. What is going to take for a paranormal field to advance, especially when everybody's doing the same thing over and over again with the same techniques and electronic technology that we're using? It's kind of like a car out of gas.
David, you want to go first on that one?
I mean, that's true.
I mean, when I first started, and I think, David, you'll probably agree with me on this, technology has changed for the better for paranormal research. Back in the day when I first started, I used to have an old tape recorder, a flashlight, 35 millimeter film. I even used old reel-to-reel recording devices, the real big unit for my EVPs. And they're great. Now we can go to a place where we can use all digital. We can review the evidence faster. Yes, we can fake it, where it was kind of hard to fake it back then with the old devices to a point. But we have not gotten to a point where we advance to really understand the science behind the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it paranormal? What makes an entity a ghost? We don't have anything really to measure that. How can you measure something that doesn't really exist? You can't.
You can't.
Exactly. But it will take people like us to think outside the box. Because with all the investigations that we've all done, and I'm talking about you, me, and all the other hundreds of paranormal groups out there, there's got to be some sort of evidence being gathered to show, hey, there's a commonality on haunting. When this value happens, this event happens. And the problem is we need to get everyone together to share, and I know I'm going on a tangent here, to share that information with the paranormal community.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. I don't think that'll happen in our lifetime. Because you got people out there that they're unwilling to share any kind of information.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, it comes down to ego. I mean, I've got a lot of information from experience, and I have no problem sharing that with other people. It's not going to do me any good or the field if I keep it to myself. If you're going to keep the information to yourself, then go find a different hobby. Mm-hmm. I think the problem is ego. Also, how do you collect that data, and how do you interpret that data? Because everyone's going to do a paranormal investigation differently. Yep. So if there's not a standard on how to do an investigation, then I don't think we can collect the data in a correct way. We can't interpret it in a correct way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Kimberly's doing out of Old House Woods. Data, data, data. Yep, the paranormal lab.
I mean, remember, it's not the quantity of investigations you do, it's the quality
mm-hmm.
of the investigation.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of these they don't do it.
And I don't think the paranormal field will advance as long as you got people out there that they don't believe anything is paranormal unless they catch it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
They're just closed-minded. They say, no, that's not paranormal. I don't know what it is, but it's not paranormal.
And those usually are the ones who either don't want to know or just too ignorant and lazy to actually, do the research on why it's not paranormal. I mean, that's one thing I hate about the paranormal is someone would say, not an image of a ghost, or that's not paranormal. Okay? Tell me why. Tell me, why do you think it's not paranormal? And don't say, well, because, in the Bible it says this. Don't give me that brouhaha stuff. Tell me in a logical manner why it's not paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've asked the same question to people that they say any evidence I've picked up, and they say, well, it's just not. That's not an answer. It's kind of like their parents saying, because I told you so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and those type of people, we will never, ever convince or change their mind. Yeah. So it's really not worth engaging, because it's going to come back to, well, I still don't believe you. You could show them proof to high heaven, and they'll still say, no, I don't believe you. You faked that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not smart enough to fake anything.
I tell people, here's the evidence that I gather. This is how I do it. Make the judgment call yourself. You don't have to say, oh my God, John, you're right 100%. There is life after death. But if you say, you know what? I've got to ponder that. That's interesting. I'll run with it.
Yeah. Kimberly said, define
When I
paranormal.
present evidence, I don't present for somebody to agree with me. I present so they can give me their opinion. If they agree with me, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. But just give me a legitimate argument.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. And unfortunately, in this day and age, especially with other paranormal groups, it always comes down to, well, I caught it, so it is. All right. Yeah. Go have your Slurpee and go sit in the corner and leave me alone.
Yep. Kimberly said, some of us want the truth and others are afraid of the truth, afraid of it.
I mean, think about what would happen if there was hardcore proof about life after death. I mean, the social ramification alone would be horrendous. I mean, you'll have the collapse of religion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some religions, embrace, life after death, like, Buddhism and what have you. But it would be a collapse of, like, the Catholic Church. And then you're also talking about, you're asking people with the paranormal about mortality, their own existence. And I don't know about you guys, but we deal with dead.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, all three of us and everyone who's listening, we're going to die. Is there life after death? I find comfort that I think there is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we can choose to either move on or come back and haunt the crap out of someone who's really pissed us off.
I'm doing that.
I'm coming back to haunt someone's computer remote. So when they're watching a good show, I'm going to change it on them.
Nice.
But, and I think that's one of the reasons why we get a lot of resistance about the paranormal, because people don't want to think about their own mentality.
Right. That's true.
None of us want to die, but, I think, at least for me, I feel a little bit more comfortable when it's my time. I know I have an idea what's going to happen. Now, what I'm afraid of is being a medium, all those spirits that I've moved over, they're waiting for me.
Yeah, but maybe you could choose not to. Maybe you can choose not to cross over and just be an earthbound person, so you don't have to worry about them. Maybe.
And, no, when I cross, when it's my time, I'm watching out for my family.
I'm not.
Again,
I'm coming back to haunt people.
I think that's one of the things of this field. It makes you look at your own mortality, and I think that frightens everyone, and that's why we have a lot of naysayers. No such thing.
Yeah.
It gives them comfort that this is it for them. I don't know.
Let's see. Kimberly said they want it so bad they will lie for it. That's true. Let's see. Steve Whitey's so funny. He didn't miss the show. Did you guys know that Jerry Bridget Reyes once seen a naked ghost? Yeah, true story. Ask her. He's so funny. And then, of course, Kimberly said no, she's out of here and she's never coming back. She wants her own blue marble to play with. Me too. So, don't have anybody in the call center. But I think we covered some. Doesn't frighten me. I'm becoming a death doula.
Well, my wife is a death doula.
Ooh, Kim. I'm waiting on a comment.
You got any questions?
Nope. I don't see any more questions out here.
Well, if Kimberly has any questions about being a death doula, my wife is one, and she's also a hospice. So she deals with death. Well, you met Anita.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to funeral school and she does embalming and everything else. So,
Would you say the majority of paranormal investigations are actually scared of death and everybody is out seeking answers so we absolutely know what's on the other side before we get there?
I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak for myself. I find comfort knowing what's gonna happen. Each person is different.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I says, I'm not afraid of death. I'm not going to go looking for it. Yeah, I don't want to die tonight, but I'm not afraid to die.
Right. Yeah, I'm not either because I'm going to come back to haunt people.
Well, I already told my wife at my wake, I want everyone to bring their EVP recorders.
Yeah. I'm just going to, yeah, that would be funny. Yeah, Kimberly is hospice too. She said she's done it for so long that she might as well get paid for it on the death doula.
That's what my wife does.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And some of the stuff that she tells me about when people are dying and having bed visions and everything else, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole different topic right there.
Yeah, that is. Yep. We had our time. Ryan's on vacation, so he didn't have a show this week. But I know that I had planned to have the Paranormal Roundtable discussion the first Tuesday of every month. So
What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said I was going to have the Paranormal Roundtable discussions the first Tuesday of every month, but normally we only get like an hour. We don't. I mean, like we've went over, but we've went because Ryan's on vacation. And We got this one question. Ask John if he doesn't believe in if aliens built the pyramids. What does he think the hieroglyphics of aliens or the spacecraft is on the inside of some of the pyramids mean?
Okay. It's Doctor Who. I think he's talking about the ones that there's a set of hieroglyphics that showing a shape of like a helicopter, I believe, one of a light bulb, and there was something else. I'm trying to think what it was. I think it was like a submarine or something. If that's the one they're referring to. Those have been debunked.
Oh.
Archaeologists have actually looked at those, and you can tell that there used to be hieroglyph images on top of it. So it's missing certain pieces, just from what I heard.
Okay.
And I've seen some actual flying saucers, and the way I look at it, I think it's just like you have artists nowadays that they can just come up with something in their head and put it on canvas. I think it's the same thing.
True. That's true. Let's see. Steve White said he had one last question. How do we actually know that spirits can see us in the dark? And I'm referring to the lights out conditions. Just curious on your thoughts with that.
Okay. Here's my personal experience. I did an investigation back in Minnesota, where I'm from, at a place called the Mounds Theater. And in the basement was the dressing room area. So we're standing in the dressing room, lights out, holding our EVP recorder. Now, I don't know if you ever noticed, if you're doing an EVP session, what are you looking at while you're doing your session? You're looking down at your recorder, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did our session, and on playback, we had an EVP saying, "Why are you looking down?" Because we're looking at our recorder during the session, waiting for you to talk. So somehow they can see us in complete darkness. Is it because they're seeing something from the electromagnetic field, thermal imaging? I don't know. But that is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
How can they see us in the dark? What are your thoughts, David?
You're right. That is a very good question. And honestly, I never thought about that. About them seeing me. I know they know if I'm there, because when we walk into a room, we don't walk into the room when it's dark. The lights are got your flashlight at least. But they know you're there. And they know you're there, and if they choose to, they can communicate with you. But if you're recording a residual, they don't know you're there.
Well, I mean, if you're recording a residual, all that is just an imprint image of past events, so they really wouldn't know.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So if you're doing if it's an intelligent haunting, then they would be aware, but how would they see? How do psychics see a ghost? How do dogs see at night? How do nocturnal animals see at night when there's no light?
And it's not normal where you're in absolute darkness. There's always some sort of ambient light, isn't there? Depending on where you're at, obviously.
Yeah.
That's true, depending on where you're at. Old House Woods is pitch black, though.
But then again, our eyes can only see a small part of the visible spectrum.
Yeah, Kimberly.
You can't see violet and infrared.
Kimberly said psychokinesis. I mean, that is an interesting, I mean, it isn't a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Unless they're feeling your energy, or you know how you might be in pitch black, but you know I know I'm next. I'm standing next to, like when Kim and I are at Old House Woods and we're doing investigations out there. It's pitch black. You know, I mean, it's dark, but I know energy wise she's there. You know what I mean? I know that she's physically there. So could it be that they're looking at you through energy wise?
Here's an idea, and I'm just going to run with this as I'm thinking. So if it doesn't make sense, I apologize. Well, we all know that our bodies give off some sort of energy field, an aura. That's been documented, that's been photographed, and everything else. What if they're seeing that energy from us? So they're not really seeing us as we're seeing each other, but they're seeing the quasi-image outline of our energy field.
That's true. I mean, that's something to test and to ask.
You're looking through a thermal imager camera?
No, I'm trying to find a good analogy. Okay, what sci-fi show can I use? Cocoon. Remember the movie Cocoon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the aliens came down, and they were kind of like a white, imagey, quasi figure. They kind of shimmered. You couldn't see detail, but you could see what they represent.
Yeah.
Okay. What if that has hurt my brain? Take that type of an image, but add our aura, our energy field that we give off of our body, because we are just a walking, battery, in an EMF field to begin with, and they're seeing that.
We'll have to test that theory and be in the dark.
But how would you test it? The only way.
Ask them if they can see, what do they see?
Well, I mean, the only way that you could get a valid response is either through an EVP or some sort of video evidence. But I got to think, how would you do that? Great. Thanks for the great question. I'm going to be up all night. But no, that's
The only thing I could think of is an EVP.
Yeah.
You ask them, how can you see me?
I mean, it'd be the same thing we ask if they know what year it is, or if they know what season it is, or
I think if you're going to do that and use EVPs, because I've gotten EVPs here at the port of a woman saying, "Can you see me?" Which tells me she saw me standing there, but I can't see her. So I think we would have to have a list of questions that's a little bit more detailed, assuming they would understand what we're talking about. When you look at us, do we shine? There you go. Do we shine? Do we look like colors?
let me write these down. Hold on.
Again, this is just a rambling of a madman.
Yeah, I know, but it's interesting, and I want to write it down so I don't forget. I mean, because it's a very interesting.
And this is where a collective comes into play with paranormal groups? You know, have they had something similar? Because I'm pretty sure we're not the only one who have thought of this question.
Right. I know we're not.
Try to think of ways.
But I want to. Oh, God, I got some fucking notebooks. Do you think that intelligent spirits only see daylight and not nighttime?
David, I'll let you go on that one while I'm thinking of an answer.
I think they see both.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Oh,
It's just running off of what we were just talking about, how they could see us in the total dark. It's a possibility.
okay.
Because I doubt very seriously that they're going to see us as we see each other. And I'm talking as a non-psychic people seeing each other. I know Jerry, she sees weird things. But, because they don't have a physical body, they don't have eyeballs like we do.
Or do they?
Or do they? I mean, we've got photos of apparitions where you can see faces, body, and everything else. I mean, it's almost like, you know, we can answer a question, and there's another. Then, if we look at it from a different investigative scenario, it's the wrong question. We just debunk our own information.
I don't know. We got the tour tomorrow. I mean, you could test a theory out at the Fort Monroe. We could test a theory out at the Manor House, and I'm sure Kimberly, we could test a theory out in the at Old House Woods. Kimberly said she had an EVV, says it's dark when it was daylight. She has an EVP.
But what was the context of that EVP? I mean, everything is dark because they're in a space and there's no light. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, like one of my friends before they passed, they kept seeing a really bright light, and she kept telling me to turn off the bright light, and I was like, I don't have, the lights wasn't even on, you know, and she kept seeing the light anyway. She's like, turn off the light. I'm like, the light's not on, you know. I mean, she passed away, so I'm just, do they stay in that light, or I wonder if it's light and dark like we have here, or are you going to get a headache thinking about that?
I'm going to use my favorite 3 words in this field that I wish everyone would use more.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I say that quite often.
Yeah. But it is, I mean, that is an interesting question.
Oh, it is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
Yeah, Kimberly said.
Saturday night, I'm going to get us access to the basement, because that's the only place where you get total darkness at the Manor House.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a comment that says using numbers and letters to help determine. Let me scroll back up here. Let's see. Steve White said, if you're doing this in little darkness, hold up color charts and numbers and to see if you get responses to what you're asking about on numbers and colors. You know, that's actually a really good idea.
We're gonna have to.
The only thing I can see a problem with that is, how do you know what card you're holding up?
You're in total darkness. Well, you could put something on there that's got some sort of texture, a different texture.
Yeah,
for
I think something like a braille on the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to remember which symbol is what.
Just use a middle finger. So just,
Or another possibility is if you're holding up the card, as I'm holding up my fake card here, on the back side of it, you could have written in the glow in the dark paint. You're seeing it, but the spirit on the other side looking at you doesn't see it.
yeah. I'm trying to look for his comment. Is it
Right.
way up there? Because I want to write that down.
Yeah, it's at the 9:35 p.m. mark.
Okay.
But that's actually a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see it. That's not a bad idea at all. I'll write it down. Or you can get like you know how they got the fluorescent poster board?
Yeah, but if you're in complete darkness, you won't be able to see it. I mean, the purpose of the experiment would be if they could see you in total darkness. So if you would literally have to eliminate all sources of light, and even with the glow in the dark paint, just in case they could see it, that would paint the experiment because they'll be reading the card. Because remember, I mean, they can stand behind you and see what you're doing and give you an EVP. And if we go on the basis that they can see in total darkness, and they're standing behind you looking at the glow in the dark paint, in theory, they can tell you what's written on the card.
Well, then technically you're just going to have a damn good memory and say, okay, I got a pink one in this hand and a green one in this hand, and just remember what the hell hand you got it in and what you put down.
Yeah, but I think David's idea of doing something with texture or braille, you know, something with dots that you can feel, that would be helpful because the spirit won't know what those dots are unless they're going to read your mind, which that's a whole different topic right there.
Yeah, that's next Paranormal Roundtable's topic of discussion because I think they can.
But you see, this is where the scientific method comes into play. Design your experiment and then do it. See what results you're going to get and keep doing it so you can get a baseline of the results during the experiment.
All right, Dave Flowers, you know what you got to get started on. Get those note cards done with Braille on them so that we can experiment.
Good luck, bud. Better you than me.
Yeah. Gee, thanks. I don't have enough to do.
No, this is taking one for the team and paranormal. It's one thing.
Yeah, who needs sleep?
Oh, you know what? I just thought, David, this could actually work for you. If you have these cards made up, and then just do like 4 different cards, okay? When you're doing your tours and your classes, give those cards to random people in the tour. And take them to the basement and see what you get.
We can't take them to the
data log and keep a data log on the responses.
Mm-hmm.
But don't tell people what they're doing. Just say, I want you to say, no, we're doing a blind experiment here. I want you to hold up this card. and you would know which card they have. Okay, so you have its documentation on it. They would have no idea what's on that card. So they can't be influenced. So they don't have that thought of, okay, I'm putting a green card, and that spirit can get that thought, saying, okay, it's a green card.
I mean, you might.
And see if there's a pattern, let's say for 3 weeks. Oh, let's say 30 days. That's a good experiment time right there. And see what you get.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to take people down to the basement on the tours.
Okay. But you know what? I'm trying to remember the bathroom that's on the main floor. And I know it's silly to do it in the bathroom. Or the one that's back by the old front door or the old back door. If you put up blackout curtains to block the window, make it dark, and turn off the lights on the main floor, that might work.
Yeah.
Kimberly said, write words on Jerry's forehead blind and see what comes up.
Blonde.
She played that game, evidently. We'll have to do that at Old House Woods, Kimberly. Just don't put bitch down there, please.
I didn't know you were a mind reader.
Yeah. But yeah, if you did something like that and just keep it with a simple one-syllable word that they can use for EVPs. I think that might work. I mean, that would be a really interesting experiment to do.
Would it be dark enough to be able to do that in the hallway at the manor house with all the lighting they got?
If we went to the bathroom there that's next to the table, that would be dark enough.
What about upstairs? Isn't it in that dark hallway with the bathroom? Can't use Blondie.
It doesn't get that dark.
But what if you close that door and put up 2 dark curtains, black sheets, in that hallway there, that entrance where the door that leads to the basement is from the third floor, that little spot there. And just drape black curtains or something, and just kind of, you don't need a really large area to do this.
Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking. Your suggestion of that bathroom that's next to the table in the foyer.
Yeah,
because it's big enough 2 people could go in there, no problem.
Right.
You shut the door, turn the light off, and you're pitch black.
Yeah.
Again, we're assuming that we're going to assume that the spirits will join someone in there.
Well, you can't see it. That was not a bathroom originally.
Okay.
The 2 bathrooms there on the first floor was all part of that smoking room.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
I mean, you could gradually start with a room that has some lighting on it, and then work your way from somewhat lighted room to a total blackout room.
Or we could always just get a sledgehammer and break those 2 spotlights out in front of the house.
The ones that blind you. Those are blinding.
Yeah, I didn't even think about those. Yeah.
Yeah, those are blinding lights. I don't know. Maybe we'll just look tomorrow and see where there's some dark spots at, some blackout spots. Cause I thought there was one in the hallway where the bathroom is upstairs. And I know what bathroom you're talking about downstairs. Since we can't,
You got Harry Potter's closet underneath the stairs going up to the third floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just some stuff. We just have to look tomorrow when we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Kimberly. Only Kim is going to put them smart ass comments. That's what I think about your comments. All right, so I guess I got to get ready to get off the air because Blog Talk is going to kick us off soon. But it has been very interesting discussions.
Yeah.
But she's going to be coming on here soon saying, y'all got to get your butts off.
Well, it was fun.
Yeah.
I had fun, and I think everyone who tuned in enjoyed it.
Yeah. I hope so.
And there was a lot of good. And I just want to tell everyone, just remember, no case is closed to an open mind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you can tell me where that line came from, I'll give someone a donut. I'll give a handshake.
Yeah. I've never mic'd a house and left, but I've mic'd a room and left. That was Kimberly's question. We have to save that for our next show because we're going to run out of time and Blog Talk will kick us off.
Next show.
Yeah.
But that's a good question.
Yeah. Then we'll have to figure out in the future when we're doing Blog Talk, when it kicks us off, how to stay on StreamYard. If we need to. Because I can always end it I can end it with Blog Talk, but I think when I do that, it's going to cut. I don't know if it'll cut you off or not. But I think it will. Yeah. But let me experiment with that. So hold on, because I'm going to end the show. Let me try it. Let me see what it does. I appreciate everybody tuning into Vibe Time that, comes in every week. Just let me end the episode and see if it remains on StreamYard just as an experiment. Is that okay with y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me end this. Night. Blog Talk. End episode.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right. But can you still hear me? Wait. I bet you if you cut your computer mics back up. I got my. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So then we can technically end our show. Oops, sorry. We can technically. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so technically we can. Damn, that just went into my daith. That hurt. So technically, if we have to, we can end the show with Blog Talk at 9:00 so that I don't cut into Ryan's airtime, and then I can turn around and we can still be on StreamYard.
Yeah, and one thing I figured out tonight, we need to mute the microphone and the speaker.